Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paula Ludwig with the Atlantic Institute, and I want to thank everybody for coming today. The Atlantic Institute is a small nonprofit that promotes positive dialogue between different faiths, cultures, religions. Our vision is of a peaceful world. And now I'm going to show you a short 2-minute video about the Atlantic Institute, and this will allow more people to get in with us. So. No ice.
The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting harmonious coexistence between peoples of various cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. We seek this goal through peaceful dialogue, education initiatives, and community organization. Our dialogue events bring together experts, community and faith leaders, and knowledge seekers to address social issues that affect us all. We feel dialogue is the most important element in peaceful coexistence, so we try and maintain several panel discussions, TED Talk events, and book clubs throughout the year. These events touch on social issues, race relations, and cultural understanding and are a mainstay of our programming. The Atlantic Institute's education events are extremely important to our mission of understanding. We want to promote socially forward critical thinking to students of all ages. To that end, we have developed programs that seek to grow the creative spirit of students and help them think about their communities and the world around them. Our Future Leaders of Dialogue event brings together nominated elite students to learn from each other as well as political and business leaders. Our art and essay contest gives students a theme about important societal issues and allows them to create wonderful works of art and writing while steering their minds towards improving their world. We're always seeking ways to educate youths and adults in order to make a peaceful world for all of us. Our community events are designed to transform neighbors into friends and groups of people into a community. By associating with other nonprofits or by our own initiative, we are always trying to discover new avenues to improve our neighborhoods, places of worship, and community centers. We host cooking demonstrations of food from other cultures, work with various nonprofits to help elevate the work of others, and try to find a way to make the lives of those who are disenfranchised or marginalized better. Building a more peaceful world starts in our backyards, so we are dedicated to improving our communities and associations. The Atlantic Institute is always seeking like-minded volunteers and collaborators. If you would like to learn more, find volunteer opportunities, or just want to chat with our staff, please visit our website at www.atlanticinstitutesc.org or follow us on Facebook. We will never run out of fun, educational, peaceful events, so come join us to help make this world a better place full of understanding and unity.
Right. So now I am going to turn this over to one of my favorite instructors. He has done this for many years for me, even while he was in high school. So I'm going to turn it over to Eamon now. He's going to teach us how to make this wonderful dish I'm swimming in.
Thank you. My name is Eamon. Today I'll be making a peach cobbler for everyone. All right, so just getting started. I'm gonna angle the camera so it's easier to see everything. I'm also currently in my college dorm kitchen, so it might be a little loud or noisy every once in a while. I'm gonna try and make this as easy to see for everyone. All right, so first recipe calls for 8 peaches. Those are about like medium-sized peaches, and the peaches I have are absolutely massive, so I'm gonna use only 3. And you're just gonna get a knife. And since peaches are stone fruits, they have pits in the middle, so you can't cut all the way through them. So just work the knife all the way around, making sure you're getting a deep cut. Once you have that done, you can either use the knife to kind of wiggle back and forth, trying to separate the peach from the pit, or you can just use your hands, twist, and it should separate just like that. At that point, it's still kind of hard to get the peach pit out, so you just keep cutting around the pit like so. just in half.
We need you to angle the camera up just a little bit.
Is that good?
There we go.
So again, just keep cutting the peach in half and separating the halves until the pit is a bit easier to get to. Consider about this point, you can just grab the peach pit and just rip it out, or use a knife if you want to. And no use for these, just throw them away. Okay. Also, we're going to eventually be putting these peaches into the oven before we do anything else. So go ahead and just preheat the oven to 425 degrees. And you're going to cut the peaches into about 16ths like this and just put them into the baking dish that you're using. Usually I use a pie pan, but I don't have that available today. So I'm just using this 8 by 16, I think, baking dish. Honestly, the thickness of the peaches is up to you. I just prefer to use 16ths, but if you want them thinner, if you want them chunkier, it's honestly just personal preference. Thank you. Same thing. Use a knife to cut all the way around the peach. Careful not to cut your fingers. Just like so. Grab both halves, twist. Some are a little harder to get than others. Hmm. As you can see, this one is a bit hard, so a chunk of the peaches kind of came out. That's all right, though. Peaches don't need to be perfect. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that in anyway. Of course, these peaches don't have to be perfect. It's perfectly fine if they're a little squishy, because they're just going to go into a delicious little baked dish. All right, one more peach to go. Thank you. And separating the peaches, it might be easier to go around with a knife a few times instead of just once, just to make sure that got it completely separated. This one's a bit tough, so I'm just using the edge of the blade, kind of pry the halves apart by twisting. This peach is a bit squishy, so it's kind of hard to get apart.
Eamon, there's a comment and they say, I have 4 peaches, but they're small. What other fruit could they put in the dish with the peaches if they don't have enough peaches?
That's a good question. So peach cobbler is a bit more of a summer recipe. Another popular cobbler dish that is made is blueberry cobbler. You can also use apples too.
Cool.
Since this one is so difficult to get apart, I'm just going to go ahead and cut into quarters, maybe even eighths, to try and separate the pieces from the pit.
So you got a comment that says peach blueberry cobbler does sound amazing. And I think you're very brave for doing a cooking tutorial in the dorm kitchen. Because I think a lot of us remember what dorm kitchens were like when we were in them, and they're not always conducive to cooking. So good job.
Thank you. This is not the first time I've done this, honestly, but also I'm going to say dorm kitchens have come quite a long way.
There's another comment that says cherry could be a good for cobbler as well.
Yes, you're right. Thank you for adding that. Almost done here, folks. My pocket. Up, middle, right, middle, right, middle, right, middle. Middle.
He's probably one of the most popular boys there if he's making stuff like this for his dorm mates.
Yeah, every time I was practicing last week, and I told my friends I had cobbler, and they just come down in a swarm to take it, and it was completely gone within 5 minutes. All right, now that these peaches are cut up, I'm trying to wash my hands for moving on because these peaches were sticky. Once you have the peaches in the baking dish, you're going to add a fourth of a cup of white sugar, a fourth of a cup brown sugar, a fourth of a teaspoon ground cinnamon, an eighth of a teaspoon ground nutmeg, 1 teaspoon fresh lemon juice, and 2 teaspoons cornstarch. So that's what I'm doing now.
And so it looks like you left the peel on the peaches. If could people also peel them if they prefer that?
Yes, if you want, you can leave the peel on. Honestly, I don't think it makes too much of a difference, but again, that's just personal preference. All right, once you have everything, just mix everything together with peaches. You can use any kind of utensil. Honestly, I prefer my hands. I just think it's easier. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix everything together until it's completely coating the peaches.
It looks like a very festive apron you're wearing there.
Yes, thank you. I got this from the family White Elephant, and I had nothing else, so I figured I might as well.
Have a request to repeat the amount of dry ingredients that you put in.
Sure. So it's 1/4 cup white sugar, 1/4 cup brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon ground nutmeg, a teaspoon of lemon juice, and 2 teaspoons cornstarch. Once you have that all coated, just try and arrange the peaches so it's somewhat level. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be neatly arranged or anything. And that's going to go into the oven for 10 minutes at 425. And while that is in the oven, we're going to go ahead and create the topping. So, first up, you're going to get a cup of flour. All the ingredients for the topping is a cup of flour, a 1/4 cup white sugar, 1/4 cup brown sugar, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 6 tablespoons of butter cut into small pieces, and a 1/4 cup of boiling water. So I'm just going to go over them again as I add them. So first, a cup of flour.
And,
Next is a 1/4 cup of white sugar,
and what kind of flour do you use?
just all-purpose flour. Fourth of a cup of brown sugar, one teaspoon baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, pro tip when measuring out salt, do it over the sink, not over the thing you're putting into it. Because if you add too much, it's very difficult to get it out. And next, you're just going to grab a fork, mix these things around. Try and break up those clumps of brown sugar as best you can. Next, we're going to add 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, cut into small squares or cubes. And it has to be cold butter. Go ahead and throw that in.
Why does it have to be cold butter?
It has to be cold so that it forms a very unique consistency. Because right now I'm going to use my hands. I'm going to basically knead the butter into these dry ingredients to create the first part of the topping. Basically, you're gonna want to see I think it was described as a course meal when you finish mixing. So it's not going to be, you don't want to add hot butter because you don't want to make it liquid. It's just going to be like a regular dough. So just use your fingers, knead the butter apart, make sure to mix in those dry ingredients. This might take a while. Really aim for those larger chunks of butter. Just squish them apart with your fingers and then mix dry ingredients into them. Almost there.
Are you going to make this over the holidays too for your family?
If they ask me to. All right, this looks about good. Again, if you see any like really large chunks of butter, try and break those up as best you can, but it's not too big of a deal. This is almost the perfect consistency for what we're looking for right now. At this point, you're going to want to stop mixing with your hands because we're about to add boiling water, a fourth of a cup. And you're going to add it very slowly as we mix, just to make sure that it doesn't become too liquidy. And the point of this is to then melt the butter that we've already incorporated into the dough. This will form a very nice, sticky, pasty dough to put on top of the cobbler. This is about good. I didn't use the full fourth of a cup because I just don't want it to be too liquidy, but this is about perfect. We have about 2 minutes left on the peaches. Once those are done, I'm just gonna take them out, slap this on top, put it back in the oven, and that'll be pretty much it. Looking at the peaches, I think they're about ready anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take them out. All right, here we go.
I have a question. How long does it stay in the oven when you add the topping?
Right, I was about to say that. It's gonna stay in the oven for 25 minutes. And once you put the topping on, basically until golden brown. All right, so again, sticking spoonfuls of the topping and just dropping them on top wherever you want. Does not have to be, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Just drop the topping wherever you want it to be. Because it does not need to entirely cover top the cobbler. It just, again, wherever you want it to be. And in this case, I would recommend using a smaller baking dish because it looks like I don't have quite enough topping for a baking dish this size. But that's all right.
So you want it in kind of lumps and not spread out?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And it would be easier if I had two spoons. Unfortunately, I do not.
The perils of cooking in a dorm kitchen.
Exactly. So this is about what it would look like. I'm just going to put it in the oven, or sorry, excuse me. Right before you put it in the oven, you're going to sprinkle just a bit of cinnamon and sugar on top of it. I'd say about a pinch or two of cinnamon and maybe 3 pinches of white sugar.
So, Eamon, there was a comment about someone's making the dish along with you, and it was said it was good to know that the topping only covers some of the apples. They were looking at their topping, wondering if they had enough. So, if someone just like really likes the topping of a cobbler, could they like double the recipe for the topping to so they could
Oh,
cover everything?
if you don't think you have enough topping, feel free to just double or triple or however much more you want to add the recipe. Again, totally up to you. I'm just basically providing you the basic guidelines of how to make this. And again, that's going to go in at 25 minutes at 425. And I recommend putting it on the lower rack in the oven so it doesn't actually scorch the topping. And once it's done, through the power of TV magic, it's going to look a little something like this.
Nice. So the topping kind of expands also.
It does, but also just use a smaller baking dish for this one, so it's able to cover more area.
You shrank the dish. Just kidding.
Any final questions?
Oh, I have a question. How did you keep your dorm mates from eating that cobbler?
I made it like 30 minutes before I started this.
Now that that smell is wafting all through the dorm, I don't think that or the one in the oven is going to last too long.
No, it's not. As soon as I let my friends know, they're gonna come down here and destroy both in about 10 minutes.
So as soon as Eamon is able to get to his computer, he's going to send me the recipe. And then if I have your email and then I will send everybody the recipe. There are some people that came in and I don't recognize the names. They weren't on my RSVP list. So if you could send me your email, you can send it directly to me so not everybody gets it. Somebody says they can't wait for Thanksgiving. I agree. This looks awesome.
Oh, and I see a question about a sauce. Do you ever make a sauce, make a hard sauce to go with it? And if so, do you have a recipe for a sauce?
I'm not exactly sure what we mean by a hard sauce, but one of the best things that goes with peach cobbler is vanilla ice cream. So if you have any of that, slap some on top. Absolutely delicious.
And who is your sous chef today?
My sous chef is my girlfriend Emma.
I can hear you. Hi.
His-
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks for watching me make this. I hope you enjoy you making your own.
Thanks, Eamon and Emma, for showing us how to make peach cobbler.
Of course.
Yes, thank you. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, then I'm going to stop recording now. He's going to send me the recipe so I can pass it on to the rest of you. You can just take a picture if you want and email it to me, and that would be great.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, Mark made a comment that I guess hard sauce is something different that could have alcohol in it. I don't know. But Eamon is a minor, so yes, there will be no alcohol in any sauces that will be made.
Oh, it says mom was from Georgia and she always made a hard sauce, which is basically a confection of sugar and milk with vanilla flavoring.
Oh, okay.
Instead of questions. I could see where that would be misunderstood though, yes.
That does sound